Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Heart Gold with only one Sneasel was a fun 4th gen solo run. Let's follow that up with a classic Gen 1 solo run. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Pokemon Red with a team of only Vulpix. Believe it or not, but I've never done a Vulpix run before, but I love this Pokemon. We're a solo fire type with pretty low overall stats. This is Gen 1, so our combined special is 65, essentially meaning that we hit a little bit harder with special moves than we would in later games. Still, terrible health might hold us back. By level up, our moves are extremely limited, but it's Gen 1, what do you expect? We start with Ember, we get Quick Attack pretty early, Confuse Ray is cool, and then at level 35 we get Flamethrower. It's a bland moveset, but there's some decent stuff in there. By TM, we can learn the always powerful Gen 1 Dig, as well as Fire Blast if we want it. I'm thinking maybe we go with Flamethrower, Confuse Ray, Body Slam, and Dig by the end of the run. Like always, I'm writing the script as I go through with the challenge, so all this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. I actually think that I can win this one, but I'll have to be really close to level 100. We're extremely limited in our moves, but Gen 1 Dig does give me hope. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use Vulpix. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So, right off the bat, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Charmander with Vulpix so that we can do the whole run with it. I picked to replace Charmander so that our rival would have Blastoise, probably the hardest for us to fight. I name him Growlithe, because that's hilarious. Alright, I'm on my way to the first gym and there's no time to waste. Yeah, it may be a rock gym, but they don't actually have any rock or ground moves, so I'm not really all that worried. They're gonna resist our Ember, but if it's anything like fighting Brock with only a Charmander, then it should be kinda easy. Fun fact, that's actually how I used to do the rock gym when I was a kid. I used to beat Gen 1 over and over through the Dodrio Tower in Pokemon Stadium, and anytime I picked Charmander as my starter, I would beat Brock just by spamming Ember. It tends to work pretty well. We're gonna see if that works for Vulpix too. So I tried the fight a few times at level 12, and sometimes we get very lucky. See, Brock infamously has tons of full heals, like excessive amounts. I think it's 5 full heals per Pokemon. So every time we burn him, he wastes a turn using a full heal, and we get to keep hitting him. On this run, we got to Onix with tons of health left, thanks to how many times we burned Geodude. But the problem is that Onix is faster than us, so if he uses Bide while we're using Ember, we can't bail out. I get to Onix every time we try, but we also lose every time. This is the closest we ever got to a win. I'm gonna grind to level 14, then I bet I'm gonna be faster than him. Okay, as soon as we hit level 14, we had this attempt where things went way smoother. We were doing quite a bit more damage, we were faster than Onix, and he never even tried to go for Bide, so everything went perfectly fine. Alright, well, for as well as that went, we have the Water Gym next, and I don't expect the same strategy to work quite so well. I'm thinking the smarter move is to go after our rival first, so that we can get on the SSN and pick a Body Slam. We may as well just do both rival fights in a row, then top it off with the Water Gym. That way we get better moves and more levels before we go after the Water Gym. Then it's that always easy Electric Gym. I have a pretty good feeling about this. Either Body Slam beats Misty, or we have Flamethrower by then and we can Brute Force her with it. We'll see what happens soon enough. On our way there, I took the Helix Fossil. I knew that if I didn't say what I took, you'd all ask. Actually, now that I think about it, everyone asks anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Alright, so at level 20, I got to the rival fight. Right away, we weren't doing amazing damage to Pidgeotto, but I thought I was still gonna be okay, until he sand attacked us right before he fainted. That's not good. Second is Abra, who can't fight back, so he goes down fine, and Rattata after doesn't really do much damage thanks to it just being really weak. The problem is, last is Squirtle, and we won't even find out how much damage we can do with Quick Attack, because we missed twice and got taken out. Well, I think it would have been a 3-shot anyway, so I guess I'll grind more and come back. 2 levels later, and now we start by taking out Pidgeotto fast thanks to one of our attacks critting, although he crit us too. At least we didn't lose accuracy. Abra can't fight back, of course, and Rattata just isn't that tough. Last is Squirtle though, and I figured that I was for sure gonna lose since we still weren't doing much damage, but he seemed to be picking random moves, so instead of using a water gun every time, sometimes he used Bubble, and once it was Tail Whip. In the end, we had 2 health left when we took him down. He threw that fight with the Tail Whip. I guess I'll just go grab the TM for Dig, then the one for Body Slam, then fight our rival again on the SS Hand. And of course, the SS Hand rival fight just ends up being a cakewalk. I swear, this one always is. His team just isn't really any better, but we fought like 20 or so extra trainers and have better moves, so of course we're gonna win. Are we ready for the water gym though? Because I'm kinda skeptical. Alright, this one took a few tries right at the start because we kept getting crit by water gun. But regardless of if we use Dig or Body Slam, we don't get the one-shot on Staryu, so I decided Body Slam just in case we could paralyze him. We took him out after getting hit once. Next is Starmie, and usually I would just faint fast, but we survived Bubble Beam and paralyzed Starmie with Body Slam. Thanks to that, we got the speed advantage and were able to take it out with Dig. Hey, that went pretty well. And of course, the Electric Gym right after was a sweep with Dig. We were slower than Raichu, but even with a crit, I don't think he would have one-shot us, so we were never in any real danger. Alright, I have to say, I'm feeling pretty good about the next chunk of the game. We have Giovanni, who's gonna be easy with Dig. Then we have the Grass Gym. I figure we'll have Flamethrower by then, so I can't see that being a problem. The Pokemon Tower rival fight is pretty infamously easy, and we can probably just sweep Koga's whole team with Dig. That means we could go do the Fire Gym early, and I think it's safe to assume that that'll be a sweep with Dig as well. I figure after that, we're probably gonna get stuck at the Silph Co rival fight, but even if we do, that's a great chunk of the game that I should have an easy time with. Let's see how it goes. First is Giovanni, but his rock types went down very easily to Dig, and Kangaskhan just used Rage right away. I'm sure it could not have beaten us, even if it used something better, but it's still unreal how bad Rage is in Gen 1. After that was the Grass Gym, and it's obviously just a sweep with Flamethrower. She never stood a chance. Next is our rival, but he's always easy at this point in the game. Only Wartortle hit us, and he only used Bubble, so he hardly took any damage. Now, the coughing at the start actually isn't a one-shot with a Dig, so I had to try this fight quite a few times to not get smoke-screened right away. But on this attempt, it failed, so we were good. Muck doesn't really do anything, as he's just too busy spamming Minimize over and over. We hit a huge Dig at first, but then we just started missing every move thanks to his Minimizes. We had him at a sliver of health for most of the fight, but eventually he disabled our Dig, and we hit a Flamethrower to take him out. The second coughing also failed Smokescreen, so he didn't get to do anything, but last was Wheezing, and he crit a self-destruct right away to beat us. If Dig wasn't disabled, then we could have avoided that. I'm just gonna try a few times and get back to Wheezing. This shouldn't take too long. Okay, literally the next try, and we breeze our way to Wheezing, and Dig is not disabled, so we just go underground, and he blows up. I love how in this game, Koga's strategy is always to blow up his last Pokemon. It's so dumb that it's amazing. We're kind of a low level though. Are we actually gonna lose in the Fire Gym? Alright, this Fire Gym was actually really interesting all because of the end. His first 3 Pokemon really didn't do anything to us other than a Tail Whip from Ponyta, so it wasn't too bad. RK9 though, I knew would be rough. Right away, he hit a takedown that nearly made us faint, but I was going for Body Slam and it paralyzed him. Knowing I couldn't get a one-shot with Dig, I confused him instead. Between paralysis and confusion, he was constantly failing to attack. I just kept using Dig as he was failing moves and illegally using Super Potions as the second move on a round. The one opening he had to actually hit us, he used Roar. It was amazing. In the end, we took him out. That was actually a really fun Fire Gym fight. Alright, with all the easy stuff done, we're at Silph Co, and we have to do the rival fight. I don't think anything after it will be hard in terms of the Giovanni and Gym fights, but I do think that both this rival fight and the one right before Victory Road are going to be pretty hard. Between Alakazam being a super fast crit machine, and Blastoise having the type advantage on us, I think we could actually lose. I'm not going to clear out all the trainers in Silph Co yet, but I will if we end up losing. Let's see how this goes. Alright, so everything leading up to Alakazam was super easy. None of them were a real threat. Alakazam himself survived a Body Slam, but got paralyzed in the process, and all he was using was Recover, so we're still healthy. He tried for Disable in the next round, but he failed, so we took him out. Last is Blastoise, so we body slam just to paralyze him too. He buffs his defense with Withdraw though, so I confuse him. This whole fight takes ages because of his potions and being pretty tanky, but we just keep confusing him and hitting body slams. He snuck in a few hits, but he didn't get us with anything too bad, so we took him out. Hey, that was a first try! I don't think the next rival fight will go that well though. Giovanni right after hardly even landed a hit on us the whole fight. We got poisoned right at the end, but that's about it. It is funny how the ground trainer is easy in a solo fire run. Gen 1 really did have a serious lack of ground moves. I want to say that it's just Bone Club, Dig, Earthquake, and Sand Attack, but I kind of feel like I might be missing like one move. Anyway, next is the Psychic Gym, and it was way harder than normal, since we can't one-shot the Kadabra at the start. It hurts us a ton with Psychic. Mr. Mime stalled us for a little while I had to use Paralysis and Confusion. Venomoth was thankfully a one-shot. I think this is possible just because I know she's picking random moves, but this will probably take a few tries. Okay, literally the next try, and they picked really bad moves the whole fight, so we got to Alakazam perfectly healthy. Then he just hits us with a non-critical Psybeam before we paralyze him and finish him off. His last attempt to stop us was a Psywave that missed, so that tells you how great a trainer Sabrina is. But after that is the ground gym, and this actually took a few tries thanks to Dugtrio. He uses Dig every turn to attack, but will randomly use a Guard Spec once in a while, delaying him. This is a problem because his Dig will take us out, but we only need to hit 2 of them on him, and he's faster. If he digs first and we don't dig, we lose, but he randomly uses Guard Spec sometimes to make us dig first, even if he's underground, thus losing. It took maybe 6 tries before he just didn't use a Guard Spec, then the rest of the fight was really easy. Alright, rival time. Right away we take damage to Quick Attack before we can take down Pidgeot, and second is Rhyhorn, so we just take him out with Dig in a couple of hits. Although we do get stomped for some damage before we take him out. Growlithe is next, but we just get a one-shot with Dig, and Execute is of course a one-shot with Flamethrower. Alakazam is next, and we got lucky as he was just wasting time with Recover and Reflect over and over, so we ended up taking him out pretty quickly. Last is Blastoise though, and we body slammed right away to do almost nothing, then he buffed his defense. The second body slam paralyzed him as he buffed his defense moves, so we confused him, then switched to Flamethrower. We weren't doing much damage, but he was hitting himself, so we actually ended up taking him down pretty quickly. This fight could have gone much worse, but we actually won at a really low level. Alright, that was all pretty easy, but it's time for things to get way harder. I can't see this Elite Four being easy. Lorelei will probably halt us for ages. I have no answer for Lance, and the Pokemon Champions Blastoise is gonna be a nightmare. I can only see us winning quite a few of these fights with Body Slam Paralysis and Confusion. They're great moves, but that's adding a lot of luck to the fight, so it might take quite a few tries before we can get things to work. Now that we're at the Elite Four, let's take a look at our stats. I have to say, they're pretty low. 103 special isn't horrible, but that isn't anywhere close to getting us a win. We're only level 53, and I can't see us possibly beating Lorelei below level 70. Maybe high 60s if we're lucky. I might have to do some serious leveling before I can win this, but I'll give it a shot and just see what happens first. Make your final guess on if we can do this or not. Let's do this. First is Ice Trainer Lorelei. Somehow things start amazing as Dugong goes to sleep right away for no reason, so we just land a bunch of hits and take him out pretty easily. Second is Cloyster, but because of his low special, Flamethrower takes him out pretty fast and we're still healthy. Now, third is Slowbro, and I figured that we were doomed because we were just hardly doing any damage. So I just went for the Paralysis and Confusion combo. He still hits us and did some pretty serious damage, but we eventually whittled him down. Next is Jinx, and she was doing more damage to us with Ice Punch than anyone else did. We took her out, but we almost fainted. Last is Lapras, and although we got lucky with Hydro Pump missing, we still went down easily and came nowhere close to a win. I'm really impressed that we even got that far, but it was genuinely all just crazy move choice and confusion luck. I'm not gonna win this at a lower level than them. I'm gonna start making real attempts at level 60 and see if we get any closer against Lapras. Okay, so literally the next try, and we had a really easy time with the whole first chunk of her team. We took a little more damage off Dugong than before, but Slowbro never hit us, so we came out healthier than before, and Jinx only used a super potion instead of hitting us. Last is Lapras, and I'm sure I would still go down to a Hydro Pump, but we were confusing her early, she was hitting herself, and we got a paralysis after only one body slam. Thanks to that, we pretty easily took her down in a few flamethrowers. I really thought I wasn't going to win this one for a long time, so I'm pleasantly surprised. Second is Fighting Trainer Bruno. This fight was really easy other than, weirdly enough, the Onix, which is usually the weak link. You'd think the fighting types would be the threat, but they did nothing to us. It was the Onix that kept buffing their defense, then powering up Rage. Remember when I was making fun of Gen 1 Rage earlier? Well, this might be the worst I've ever been hurt by it. We didn't faint or anything, but they used Rage pretty well for once. Third is Ghost Trainer Agatha. I figured this one would be easy, and I was right. The first time we made it all the way to the final Gengar before the Nightshades became too much, but the second time, we pretty much swept through them with Dig because they picked worse moves. It's time for the last two fights though, and I think they're gonna both be pretty hard. Fourth is Dragon Trainer Lance. Well, we instantly got hit by Hydro Pump and fainted. Yeah, this probably isn't gonna happen for a while. I'm getting to level 70. Level 70 and we try again just to do almost no damage and instantly get one shot again. It was a crit this time, but I think it's safe to say that we weren't anywhere close to making him faint, let alone the rest of his team. No, we need to be seriously stronger. Not even close. Alright, you have to see this. So at level 80, things are still going awful until this try, where I had a simply Gen 1 quantity of critical hits. It was amazing how we just started critting left and right against all the most dangerous Pokemon. But even that couldn't save us when Aerodactyl showed up and took us out. We even got lucky with their move choice too. I actually think that by level 90, we might be able to win this, but only if they pick bad moves. Let's find out. Okay, so this time we had pretty much the same fight as before, other than critting Aerodactyl for a one-shot, and having pretty low health overall. I thought I was gonna faint right away when Dragonite hit Slam early on, but we ended up surviving with only 6 health. He started using agility early, so even with paralysis he was faster, and I figured I'd lose because of it, but he kept using agility and barrier instead of finishing us off, so we actually took him out. It was incredibly close. Finally, the Pokemon Champion. Right away, Pidgeot only went for Whirlwind, so it was a 2-shot without anything really happening. And after that is Alakazam, who we nearly one-shot, but he used Reflect and we were faster, so he didn't hurt us either. Rhydon only went for Horn Drill, so we took him out without getting hit, and fourth is Arcanine. I was kind of worried about something like Takedown, but he was busy using Roar and missed Leer, so we didn't even get hit by him either. Executor is obviously a one-shot, so we're going into the Blastoise fight with full health. Right away, we Body Slam to crit as he uses Withdraw, then we switch to Flamethrower to take him to a Sliver. He hit Hydro Pump, but we actually survived with a decent chunk of health left, so we could finish him off. That was a first try at the Pokemon Champion. Well, that was a fun and fast solo run. I hope you guys like that run. The next Pokemon Challenge should be up next week on Saturday, like usual, with Pokemon Gold, with only one Bulbasaur. That's a challenge that you guys picked over on the Patreon poll. As always, I'm looking at your suggestions in the comments in the challenge request section of my Discord channel and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Outro time. I would love to sit here and talk to you guys forever about all kinds of outro-y things, but I actually, for the last couple minutes of this voiceover, one of my cats, Rocky, has come into the studio, the recording studio, and he's staring me down right now and purring up a storm and clearly wants my attention. And my other cat, Sabu, is hovering by the doorway to the studio, just hunkered down staring at me. Now, I'm pretty sure Sabu chased Rocky into here, because that often happens, but if they're both just hovering like this, I'm sure they want a little bit of dad time, but I think that they're also probably asking for food. What time is it? It's almost 5 p.m. Yeah, it's about time that I get them some food, so I'm gonna go get the boys some food. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.